Alright, I wanted to do a quick little video about my XU 6168 CPS for some of the guys that are interested in one. Since I never actually got to see one of these before I bought it with the backhoe on it. I had to go test drive one that didn't have the backhoe and decided that I like it, and I bought the backhoe with it on faith, you know, and so far I'm very happy with it. The backhoe, the only thing you got to worry about on the backhoe is the feet. It doesn't come with these. I had to make these, and they just bolt onto this plate here. It's all covered in mud, but there's the 6 holes are already in it. I just welded these up out of some scrap I had laying around, and frankly, with the ag tires on this tractor, you really need some feet on it to get the extra height. Otherwise, with the ag tires, the tractor sits up a little bit higher and those arms don't come down, the stabilizers don't come down quite far enough to kind of lift the back of the tractor up. Even with those feet on there that are only, 2 inches tall, it takes some of the weight off the back tire, but so it plants it well, but without it, it wouldn't pick up enough weight off the back to really do anything, and then they're just a flat plate and it slides around. But otherwise, no problems at all with the backhoe. See, I should have flipped the seat up last night. That's its storage position, so it doesn't collect water like that. But as you can see, the 3-point arms stay on just fine. They are not in the way at all. When the backhoes, since I ordered it with the backhoe, it came with an extra 3rd set of remotes, and that's a detented remote. And you can see the 3 handles there in the cab. So the black one is detented, so you just push it, push it away from you, and that's how it came. So I've put it back the same way every time I put it on, and I just push the handle. If you pull the handle towards you, you'd still be applying hydraulics, but you'd be applying hydraulics to the backhoe backwards, and the backhoe does not work if you have the flow backwards. So if you hook your backhoe up and it doesn't work, flip the handle the other way. Otherwise, the telescoping links on the back here work really well. Makes hooking up anything, especially since we're talking a Cat 2 tractor here, it sure makes hooking up those heavy implements much easier. So no problems at all with any of that. The backhoe does use a top link with it, and it doesn't do a whole lot, but it does add that extra little bit of stability with it, and so the backhoe really becomes part of the tractor. There's very little movement in there. Basically, just you have the slop in the pins a little bit, and you can when you bang the hoe around, you can feel it move a little bit, but it's pretty solid on there. 6168. This tractor has everything except the creeper gear, and then there's one other option that I can't remember, but I wasn't even offered the chance to order it. It was just, hey, this is the tractor. I told them I wanted the backhoe and the ag tires, and this is how it came. So the extra little LED lights there, I just added on, and those are existing little brackets that come off the corners there, so no mods to the tractor other than splicing into the wires. I got the 18-inch bucket. My dealer, I originally went in with the idea of getting a 12 and a 24-inch bucket, because the 24-inch is an option. But he said, after telling him my hard, about my hard clay soil here, you can kind of see what I'm dealing with. He said basically, if it's damp at all, the clay won't come out of a 12-inch bucket. And after dealing, after a good rain, even with the 18-inch bucket, sometimes that clay doesn't all want to come. Most of it will come out, but sometimes you end up with big chunks stuck in there, and I've had to shovel it out a couple times, so I just don't deal with it when it's wet. The 24, when it's dry, he didn't think would dig. It might not have enough power to really dig well. And the 18-inch bucket, as long as you keep the teeth pointed forward into the work, which seems pretty obvious, but in practice is a little harder to to accomplish for an inexperienced operator. But if you keep it digging, so these points are digging into the ground, then the 18-inch bucket and is great. But I don't think I would want to try and really dig this hard virgin clay out here with the 24-inch on this one. It would probably do it, but it would struggle a little bit, I think. Excuse me. So the 18-inch was the compromise. Although the extra buckets, you can buy them and get them if you want, but and they're not that expensive. They're a couple $100 depending on the size, but not too bad. One other thing that I learned real quick on this backhoe is I bought a quick lube coupler for my grease gun, and all the grease zerks here are, as you can see, they're recessed, and some of these holes on here and on the front loader, that lock and lube coupler doesn't quite fit in that hole, so I had to file down, kind of take about 5/1000 off the outside of my quick lube coupler, so I could get it in there and lock it on those zerks, and now it works just fine. So one little thing there, but otherwise they're pretty well protected, except for this one here, which I've already busted off one time and had to put a new one on it. Otherwise, let's see, I filled the tires with took about 120 gallons of windshield washer fluid to fill those, and that it's not quite enough ballast for the loader if you're really working it at the max, but for most chores it's enough. I can pick up a full bucket of gravel with nothing on the back, and while it does start to feel a little bit lighter, it's still plenty planted. But the backhoe is, so far, with the backhoe on it, I picked up a shed that was all the loader wanted, and the tractor carried it around just fine. But the loader was at the max. So of course you have to fill the front tires. The front tires don't like it much when you load it completely, so fill the front tires all the way up if you're going to do it. Whatever the I think it's 35 pounds is what they say on the Mac on the side. So otherwise, quick connect bucket works just fine. I've got some forks for it, and I use the forks more than the bucket, but since I've been doing dirt work here, digging irrigation lines, I've had the bucket on. So let me take you around and show you inside. I could go on and on, but so far no problems with it, other than I found out the day before yesterday what happens if you get water in the fuel. Basically, everything you really need for your morning checks is right here on the side. So you see the dipstick is easy, and then right there, that's the water separator drain, and then right up above it, well, that's the fuel filter, and then up above it, that is the water sensor, water and fuel sensor. And when the light comes on, basically what I did was disconnect that connector right there, and then that whole sensor unscrews out of the bottom of that canister, and some rusty looking water came out of there, and just drained it, put it all back together, and no problem since. So if you get the only error, it said F02 and then a 97, along with the a light that looks like a gas pump, red light that looks like a gas pump comes on, and basically that's just telling you that it's got water in the fuel. Shut it off and drain it. So inside's pretty messy, but you get the idea. That's what I lube my 3-point with, and basically anything that doesn't have a zerk fitting but moves, put some fluid film on it and you'll be good to go. My only issue, not issue, but thing I don't like about this so far is the parking brake is kind of it's down so low that, and I'm kind of tall, to reach down and get it, it's kind of a pain. Every time you get off when the engine's running, it wants you to set the parking brake. Otherwise it beeps at you. But then when I go to release the parking brake, most of the time it doesn't stay down all the way. See how it kind of pops back up, and I'm not sure why. So what happens is, if it's like right there, it'll still say the parking brake is on, and when you put it in drive, then it beeps at you. So when I take it home next week, I'm gonna see if I can't put a spring on that or something underneath and figure out so that it holds itself down so I don't have to, so that when it's off, it's off. Otherwise, that's my only complaint about this. Now I'm 6'3", about 300 pounds, so getting up in here is no big deal for me, but I mean, even with a hat on, I'm still all right in here. I put a Pioneer radio in it that has Bluetooth. This tractor came with a Sony, and it was a real nice radio, but it didn't have Bluetooth, and I wanted Bluetooth, so I put in some matching 5 1/4 speakers. Basically, I just had to cut this out a little bit bigger, and they screw right in. Put a microphone for the Bluetooth and the air conditioner controls. That's all that's up there. But otherwise, and I guess the other thing I don't like is whatever they make this glass out of is like, it attracts dust. I wish they would have put some sort of anti-static coating on it or something, but whatever. Otherwise, yeah, at 6'3", I'm in here just fine, and everything is right where I would want it. The gear shift, that's 4th gear. That's in 4th gear, so it's right next to my knee if I'm using the throttle. But the only time I use the throttle pedal is, when I'm doing loader work, and I don't want it running full tilt all the time. But yeah, so I mean, it's my knee touches it sometimes, but it's not. Some tractors I drove, I literally had to kind of cock my foot around it and try and do this sort of thing. But this one's nice and comfortable. Pedals are linked or separate, so right, and of course the clutch. No big deal. You got four ranges over here, and I forget what option goes there, but it's something about there's a hole for like a creeper gear, and then I forget what the option is, but you can ask your dealer when you order this if you want, and I can't remember what it is. Oh, actually, I think the creeper gear goes down over here next to the diff lock, which is right there. So that one's pretty easy to get to. The 4-wheel drive lever is up and down. The one thing to note is there is no indicator on the dash to tell you when you're in 4-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive. So this tractor was delivered to me, or when I picked it up, it was in 4-wheel drive, and I didn't realize it. The problem is when I look down at it, here I've got my top link in the way, is it looks exactly the same whether it's up or down from my vantage point, looking straight down on it. So, but it's actually in 4-wheel drive right now, and you can see that it's up. When it's down, and it probably won't, well, when it's down, it's in 2-wheel drive, but I have to move the tractor a little bit. Otherwise, that's about it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Can't say I haven't had any problems, and yeah, it's done everything I've asked of it just fine. So even some things that I probably shouldn't have done with it, but so far I've dug out some big boulders with it, with the forks, and even though I actually tweaked one of the tines on the forks, and they're 5,000-pound capacity forks, the loader is just fine and just square, so still square, so it's doing just fine. So all right, just wanted to let you guys see what this tractor's about. I can't find any real user videos about a 6168 CPS when I bought this one, so just wanted to let you guys see what one's like. So I'm sitting in here with a hat, and I've still got a couple inches of headroom, and at 6'3", that's, I mean, I can let the seat down a little bit, so this, that's how much movement I got in the seat, a little bit here. So when I sit on it, it sags about 1 inch, and otherwise it's while it's not an air ride seat, it is a spring seat, and it's quite a nice one. It's the it's the Grammer spring, so it's not some cheapo, just a hinge and a spring type of affair. It's pretty nice, and it's very comfortable. The armrests are worth their weight in gold when you're doing long long hours in the field, you know, tilling or plowing or whatever. So the loader controls, all the hydraulic controls are very, well, I don't want to say sensitive, but the control is very easy. You can creep them really, really slow, or, you know, move to, you know, they're very smooth. Where some loaders I saw were, you know, they kind of, as you pull the handle, they don't move, and then all of a sudden they're jumping up. Where this one is, you can, you know, you can put the tips of the forks wherever you want them, no problem. The 3-point works very well. I haven't used the draft control, but I no reason to think it wouldn't. I guess some of the options here that are kind of unique to these tractors. So your extra 3-point control here, this is the fingertip controls. Basically, when this lever is up, like it is now, that raises the 3-point. It doesn't raise it all the way, but it does raise it plenty far enough to clear your ground. So basically, and then to let it back down, you just push this button here, and that would drop it back down. So when you're riding around, you got your armrest down, like when I'm subsoiling or whatever, is I'll just ride here with my finger on this, and if I feel it start to hit a root or something, I can pop this up real quick, and it'll start pulling it up. I don't even have to latch it up, but I can pull the 3-point up a little bit, and then immediately it'll drop right back down as soon as I let it go. So I can kind of do the draft control myself. That's pretty much. And then supposedly when the PTO is on, when you raise this up, like with the rototiller, it's supposed to stop the rototiller, but that hasn't been my experience, and I don't know if something is out of adjustment or if I'm just not doing it right. But the auto manual, I'm not sure what the auto manual PTO, I read the book and it doesn't seem to do what I think it should do, but either way, it's not a big deal. I just shut the PTO off and raise it. So basically your switches for work lights, pretty obvious. Front and rear windshield wipers, if you push them and hold them, that's the squirters, so you got squirters for front and rear. Here you get into the auto throttle. So you've got 2 different settings, number 1 and number 2, just pick one. Turning it like that would turn it on, and then when you push it and release it, that takes it to whatever setting you have. Or you can set it at whatever RPM you're running. That's how you set it. You push it and hold it, and then it'll set to the RPM you're running at. If you're running on the auto throttle and say you got it set and you want to drop it down a couple hundred revs or whatever, you just push this button here and hold it, and that'll slowly drop the RPMs down. It's not like the cruise control in your car where you just push it and it drops you like 1 mile an hour or something. You have to kind of push it and hold it and wait, you know, probably 3 seconds, and then it'll slowly start dropping the RPMs on the engine. So same to rev it up. This is your shuttle shift, well, it's the power shuttle clutch engagement. So now it's in normal mode, which is kind of your everyday, it's kind of a soft, comfortable clutch engagement. When you flip the lever to forward, it automatically engages the clutch, and away you go. When you flip it into that setting, that's supposed to be, the picture's supposed to be like plow bottoms, like a 2-bottom plow there. And when it's in that mode, it engages the clutch much harder, much faster. It's not very comfortable. It's if you're just like on the pavement or something, it's almost gonna like try and, it's like you're trying to chirp the tires or pop a not quite pop a wheelie, but it's for when you have the plow in the ground already and you need to start and you don't want the clutch to slip. It's going to engage that clutch pretty hard. So generally, I just leave it there. But I mean, if you're really wanting to go fast and you got a bunch of forward and reverse loader work to do, yeah, you can flip it into that mode. And every time you flip that lever, it's gonna jolt you around forward to back. You probably end up with whiplash at the end of the day. So the only time I use that is when I do have like the subsoiler on and I happen to stop with the subsoiler in the down position. Otherwise, I just start moving and then drop the subsoiler. So that's it there. otherwise, yeah, the 3-point controls and draft. That's about it. For those that haven't driven a shuttle, basically you just select your range, and then to change the gear, you have to use the clutch while you're moving. So you're stuck in a range, like any other tractor, until you come to a full stop. You can't change the ranges while you're moving. So this one is a full 16 forward, 16 reverse. So I've got 4-speed. And for those of you that are new to this, they are totally sequential. So first gear in second range is higher than fourth gear in first range. So there is no overlap in gears. It's not like, the high gear in first range is the same as low gear in second range. It's all the way up to, the first 3 ranges are work ranges, and the fourth range is basically for roading only. It's the fourth range, fourth gear is high enough that if you're not on a hard surface, you probably stall the tractor if you're trying to get it going, pulling anything or up a hill or anything. But if you put it in fourth range, first gear, take off, get it up to speed, and then while it's coasting, change gears quickly, and then it'll pick up and run up to about, I think the book says 18.5 miles an hour. So, which is, with the loader on, anything more than, I wouldn't want to go any faster than that, because it'll start bouncing and it wouldn't be very much fun. So, but otherwise, the question was asked about the roominess of the cab. At 6'3", I can put my elbows out here, and I'm still 3-4 inches away from the B pillar there on both sides. So it is quite a bit wider. It's not enough room for a buddy seat, unfortunately. Although I have taken the four-year-old out, and up here on this tray, sometimes he'll sit here on this tray, which I'm not sure what it's for, other than it's only a good size for collecting crap is all I can figure out. I wish they would done a better job of utilizing space more usably here. Even if it was just a shelf that I could put a toolbox on, I would like that better than this. But otherwise, I just end up with some extra shear bolts and some rubber gloves and paper towels, and that's about it. So otherwise, yeah, unless you're really tall, and my brother is 6'9", and he drives this tractor just fine. He has to let this, he's a little heavier than I am, so he sits, the seat automatically kind of lowers for him a little bit, and he still has, a little bit of, enough headroom. But I am not cramped for space in any sense of the word here. And I've got the wheel tilted, so that's where I normally have the wheel, is about there. But if you got really long arms, you'd have to be pretty much a gorilla to reach the far end of the steering wheel without having to reach forward. So that's where I use it, and I just leave it locked there and just push the handle there. That locks the steering wheel in place. So all right, I think I've wasted enough of everybody's time. If you have any questions about basically the DPF, you don't need to ever worry about the DPF. It's all automatic on this tractor. There is an inhibit, and then I'm trying to remember. You inhibit it that way, and then you can uninhibit it that way. But that's the only thing is if you're going to, the book says if you're going to run it in a flammable environment, like it's really dusty with wheat chaff or something, yeah, you can inhibit it so that it doesn't try to regen because the exhaust is going to get hot. And when it does regen, you're going to get 2 lights come up here on the dash. One that looks like, one that's going to look like that. You'll get that symbol in orange, and then you'll get another orange light right next to it. I forget what it is, but it'll show up right up here above the fuel gauge, and really that's the only way you're going to know that it's regenerating. Every time I've done it, I've been running at more than 1,500 RPMs, more like 2,000 RPMs each time, and you just press on and keep doing what you're doing, and just keep the RPMs high until the lights go off and it's done. So it takes about 15 minutes. First time I did it, I smelled it. It smells like kind of like burning marshmallows, and that's about it. Basically, you get the oh, I know what the other light is. The other light is there's a light that tells you that the exhaust is hot. It's not a warning light, it's just a caution light saying, hey, the exhaust is hotter than normal. So, but it's not like you're going to reach out and be grabbing it. So it's why two lights come on, I don't know, but they do, and then they go off together. So otherwise, no problems with that at all. So just don't let that dissuade you. And there's nothing you have to do. It's all automatic. As long as you're not pushing this inhibit switch, it's going to be automatic. If you never go into a flammable area, just, don't worry about it. And if it does happen to be regenerating when you want to let it shut down, just keep the RPMs high, let it finish, and then park it. And because if you keep inhibiting it, it will eventually clog up, and you'll have to take it to the dealer to be serviced. And so you're better off just let it run, let it do its thing, and it's only going to regenerate about every 50 hours anyway. My first one was at 49 hours. The next one was at 98 hours. So it's apparently 49 hours is when this one wants to regenerate, like a clock. So, yeah, that's it. So, okay, signing off.